this episode of 10-8. I'm Sergeant Red Zerkowski.
And I'm Sheriff Ken Mascara.
Today's episode, we're going to take you behind the scenes of the St. Lucie County Jail, also locally known as The Rock.
I can't think of a more challenging profession than that of a correction officer. Why? Because they spend their workday behind the bars, just like the inmates.
So don't go away, we'll be right back. Welcome back to 10-8. I'm here with Captain Jimmy York, the Operations Commander of the St. Lucie County Jail. He's going to be our tour guide today. Captain York, thank you for having us today.
Welcome.
Well, this is where it all begins. We're in the Sally Port and booking. What's this all about?
Well, basically, anytime anybody gets arrested or they come back from court as what we call a readmit, they come through these doors, and this is where the process starts. We unload them from the vehicles like we're doing right now. They go right through these doors, and well, here, let me show you. Come on in here. This is where we do what we call the pat-down area, or to make sure no one has any weapons or drugs or anything like that before entering the secure area of the facility. Everybody's put here in against the wall, pat down. All their property is taken from them at this point. Anything that they're not supposed to have other than clothing, it gets taken from this point. These deputies take all their information, make sure they don't have any medical problems, and all that stuff, just to make sure that we can classify them in the right place. You can see we have the computer set up, everything's entered in the computer, the inmate signs for it. We take limited information, basic screening as far as medical. Anything that they have on them, no matter what size money, everything comes here and it's inventoried and it's put in a secured area, so it can't be tampered with. From here, they would go this way to do fingerprints and photographs.
And from here, where do they go?
They would go into the shower area, they would dress, depending on what their classification was, and depending on what color they would be in. Your misdemeanor and light felons in male will get blue uniform. You can see the orange over on the other side. If they are a violent inmate or they have a violent past or here for a very serious crime, they will go into the orange uniform. The females, your misdemeanor and light felons, will get the green uniforms, and the yellow, that is for the more violent females, and of course the gold, that would be for trustees. Everybody, when they come to jail, we take their shoes no matter what they're wearing, and we give them shower slides. This is what we call shower slides. They're all bright orange, and we do that when they leave. We can see them if they try to take them, and for some reason they actually do try to take them. So everybody gets shower slides. We take their shoes because they will fight over anything or try to obtain anything somebody else has. This is what we give the inmates before they go down to their housing units. Every inmate will receive one. In these you have your sheets, towels, blanket, a copy of the inmate rules and regulations. This is a form we were talking about earlier where you fill out your visitation card. You also have certain hygiene items like your eating utensil. Everybody's issued one. Toothpaste, toothbrush. It's things that you have to have.
Captain, when they're done here, what's the next step?
Next step is screening. You like to see that?
I'd love to. Captain, this is where they come after the shower?
Yep, this is basically the advanced screening. They check for a lot of different things here. They check if the person's suicidal. They check if they have any holds or wants from another county. All the teletypes come through here. The initial housing comes from here. These guys have a very big responsibility. If they're injured in any way, usually by this time they get here, they'll actually tell them, listen, I got hurt or what have you, and they'll make sure medical sees them from this point.
So these deputies here decide where they're housed?
Yep. Initially, this is where the housing is at, and across the hall here is where they actually classify them and give them a permanent housing.
Okay. Can we see?
Absolutely.
Now, sir, you've mentioned classification. This is classification. What exactly does classification do?
Well, classification is what keeps everybody separate. Basically, you don't want to put a murder in with somebody here for a traffic offense or a misdemeanor offense. So you have to try to keep those people separate. I have a lady over here that could fill you in a lot more because there's a lot more functions in classification than just that.
Well, let's go talk to her.
This is Deputy DiBiase. This is Sergeant Zarkowski.
Hello, Deputy. Nice to meet you. Deputy, could you tell us how many classifications are there?
Right now we have, there's a variety, but the three main ones are general population, restricted custody inmates, which are medium security, and then we have segregated inmates, high security.
Okay, when you say medium risk, what do you mean by that?
A medium risk would be, a typical person would be sentenced to DOC. In other words, they're in our custody, but they're waiting to go to a different institution, like a state institution, for a longer period of time. Therefore, their security risk is bumped up a little bit.
Okay, and DOC is,
Department of Corrections, prison.
and high risk?
The high-risk ones, that's going to be violent felons, escape risk, people that are either in here facing escape charges or have a history of an escape, or they're facing serious charges such as murder. Or
Now, throughout the tour that Captain York has been taking us on, I've heard the term trustee. What is a trustee?
a trustee is basically an inmate worker. I'm also the trustee coordinator. It's one of my functions here in classification. This is someone who has been sentenced to county jail for up to a year, and they get 5 days of their sentence time taken off in return for working throughout the facility and outside of the facility.
5 days?
5 days off of every 30 days that they are sentenced to. So if they got sentenced to 90 days, they would receive 15 off of their sentence for doing work.
Thank you, Deputy. Captain York, where to next?
Well, right this way.
Now, from here, they're going to the housing unit,
Right.
whatever their assignment was.
They pick up their property bin that I showed you earlier, and they go to their housing unit.
Now, after their housing assignments and they're classified, does one become a trustee automatically the
Oh,
day
no.
they're booked in?
Not at all. They have to request to be a trustee unless they're sentenced to county jail time. If they're sentenced to county jail time, they still have to go to even a more extensive screening from medical. And after they get screened from medical, and if it's okay and they want to be a trustee, then they're placed as trustee, depending on our need.
What are some of the functions of the trustee?
Well, trustees have different classifications, which means a lot of different functions. You have trustees who work on the outside, trustees that work on the inside. Over here in the law library, you have trustees working with the librarian, and basically an inmate will send in a request for the law library saying they want this and this statute, and they will print out the statute or whatever article they want, and they will send it down to them.
Is there any charge for the inmates to use the law library?
No, we give that free of charge. Also, we have not only law library, we have different books and stuff that they can request, and we will send it down there. Here we have trustees working in our canteen now. You can see the candy and stuff. They fill the orders for the other inmates in the facility.
Are these candy bars free?
No, they have to purchase those. Basically anything in here. We do have what they call indigent packages or care packages. People don't have any money. That way they can get writing material. They can get so many stamped envelopes so they can keep in contact with their loved ones. It's about lunchtime. Let's check out the cafeteria. It's under major renovations right now, so it probably would be a little hard to show you because we're redoing the entire floor. Well, even though they're doing all the renovations, we're putting out about 4,500 meals a day.
The 4,500 meals a day, do the inmates pay for that, or is it free, or how is
The inmates that can afford to pay for it, they do pay a small fee. It just helps relieve the burden of the taxpayers. Of course, the indigent ones, the ones that can't afford it, they still eat just like everybody else.
I notice over here, is that a cafeteria for the employees?
That is our staff lounge.
Oh, can we look?
Absolutely.